Hello everybody, we are in another episode of guided neighborhood tours of Guanajuato. Today we are starting right across Cafetal in La Presa, and we're gonna show you how it looks. Panorámica, ISSSTE, La Presa. So this is another residential area, very popular. There's not a lot available because usually people who live here stay for a long time, and I'm gonna show you how it looks. So we are going up by the street known as San Juan de Dios, and San Juan de Dios has a few nooks of houses. This is a little like cerrada. It's like a callejón that has no exit to the Panorámica. And I know there's a few Airbnbs over there and a few other rentals. But pretty much the challenge in that little callejón would be there's not a lot of sun, because in callejones everyone blocks the sun for each other, so that can be a little tough. And in San Juan de Dios you have a few little businesses. I just passed one where the Coca-Cola sign is. Maybe you cannot see it anymore, but it's a little store, una tiendita. It's run by un abuelito, and he has basics like garrafones de agua, chips, Coke, like not a lot of options, but it's an option. And here you have one lawyer's office, and I'm gonna point out to why this is so. It's like a random place to have a lawyer's office, but there's one for a reason. And here we have more houses. Many of these houses have been occupied by the owners and passed on to their families, because it's just such a convenient place. We are like 20-25 minutes to main jardín, like to the belly bottom of the Centro, so you have parking. So that's why it's kind of tough to find a rental here. We have this little placita. It has some games for kids, and this was fixed I want to say maybe like 7 years ago, probably. It was just full with plants and stuff, but now they made it like walkable and with some benches and the little games, so they fix it really pretty. And here we have another privada, and in this one there's a couple of Airbnbs and a couple of rentals, but once people take one of those rentals, it's very, very hard that they move somewhere else, because this area is really peaceful. And like I mentioned, no, you are walking distance to Centro, but you can also have a car and you have a place to park it. And this is nice and quiet. And here we are in Panorámica right now. So where you see that gas bus, there's two little stores. In one of them, if I remember correctly, they sell also some fruits and vegetables, and in the other one not as much, but it's really nice. And right here we have the neighborhood or the area known as Universitarios or Lomas de Zaragoza. We're gonna see it in a little bit. And this building right here, this green building, is a government building, and it hosts the Registro Agrario Nacional, which would be like the government office that keeps all the title deeds and takes care of all the issues regarding property, but in rural areas. So maybe you have heard about ejidos, and many times people recommend not to buy in an ejido, because what that means is that you are part of a buenos dias, you are part of a communal property, which is divided amongst el ejido, or everybody who lives there. And this has its origins in the Mexican Revolution, because many people in rural areas were just kind of slaves, pretty much, and they had no place to thrive as a community. So when the revolution started, one of the achievements was to protect little communities and grant them pieces, like really, really big chunks of land. And if they couldn't sell it back then, it had to be passed on from family to family. Now it's possible to sell, but all of the community has to agree, and everybody has to sign, and in a way you own that piece of property with all the community. And that's why people tell you, no, don't do it. In every now and then, because of growth, obviously, people growing and maybe leaving the community, or maybe kids wanting to own one piece of the land that maybe was from the grandfather, the father, and just if they have other ways of income, maybe tourism. That happens a lot in coastlines communities. What the government does is they open the program and you can get a title deed, but you will have to wait until the government says so. On the meantime, you're just gonna have a title, a document that says that you own that piece of land and that is recognized by the community, but that's about it. Okay, so that building I showed you back then, that's really what it means. That's the Registro Agrario Nacional, and there's a lot of people who come here to fix their issues related to their property. Okay, so I just wanted to bring you right here. I'm not gonna keep walking to that side, but if we were to keep walking to that side, is the part of Panorámica. Is one of my favorite parts because it looks like a little forest. It's a protected area, although there's been attempts once in a while to build neighborhoods, but it's a protected area, so in general it should stay like that. But like business says politics, sometimes they collide and things change. But if we were gonna keep going to that side, you will find the ISSSTE, and that's the hospital I mentioned when we explored Boulevard Guanajuato. So by car you will be in Boulevard Guanajuato like in 5 minutes. So this is the area, the residential area that you would find once you came from the hospital towards La Presa. And Lomas de Zaragoza or Universitarios, this area, like the name says, Universitario, or like university, this had its origins for the Universidad de Guanajuato, the teachers. So that's how it started. It was a development, or how do you say that? An area that was developed, and it was financed. I mean, the teachers of the university had preference, so they could get a loan and buy here. And that's why it's mostly known as Universitarios, because it was for the teachers. And there's still a lot of teachers in this neighborhood, retired or maybe the kids. And that's why also it's not very easy to buy a house here. There's been a couple of houses that were on the market and got sold pretty quick. And you will have to invest, especially if the house is originally from the 80s or 90s, which is when they set up that program for teachers to buy property here. It will be an older house that will have to have electrical and plumbing checked, so that it's up to date. And it's gonna look very old, but if you really, really, really wanna live in Presa, we would suggest that you explore the possibility of remodeling a house, because it's worth it, and you won't face the challenges that everybody faces in Centro. We have talked about that, problems delivering the material or removing debris, because here you have access with a truck, so they can pretty much deliver to your door, and that's nice. Here is another entrance. So this neighborhood has 3 entrances. One is right before El Ran. This would be the second one. There's a few apartments up there for rent. They are tiny, but they are furnished, so that would be a good first apartment if you come to Guanajuato. I have seen some from, like, depending obviously on the size, no? But I have seen some apartments online for 6,000, 9,000, more or less. That would be the price range. As I mentioned, they can be small, but it will be a good place if you wanna come to Guanajuato and experience Presa. As soon as you start renting here, that can be an option. This is the third entrance to La Presa. I mean the Universitarios. I'm gonna keep walking along this Panorámica. And if you see, there's not a lot of houses. Some foreigners live on this stretch of Panorámica that I have been showing you. And for what we heard is they don't regret buying on this area. They really like it, and it's very convenient for their lifestyle, because there's, in the second entrance that we saw to Universitarios, there's a way to get to Buenos días. There's a way to get to La Bufa. So you will start right at the base and you can go up. And you will be at the top probably in 30 minutes. So that's where it is. Buenos días. And this is If you keep going on that direction, you will end up in La Presa, right where I'm gonna link that video, right where Loft Elise is. That's where you will find yourself if you keep going this way. Right here, this building is the back of Palacio de Gobierno that we also saw when we were doing the first tour in La Presa. The beautiful pink stone building. This is the back. So that building goes from the bottom all the way to the top of Panorámica, and this is where you are located. And where you see those cars parked, that's Callejón del Infierno. Maybe one day I can do a funny video of how narrow it gets and how steep it is, but basically this road is where you will find Casa Falguera and Presa 97. And if you walk, probably you're gonna be there in 5 minutes. You need to be careful because it's very steep and you can slip and fall. But it's really convenient and nice. And you have an amazing view of the city also from here. You can see La Bufa up there. And this is also part of Universitarios. So this is what we wanted to show you today. And we hope you like it. If you would like to see Universitarios or Zaragoza, right now there's no listings available there for sale. But if you want to see how it looks, I'm gonna leave the pin of Google Maps so that you can explore it. This is a really small neighborhood. It's probably like 3 cul-de-sacs and or less. I think it's 2 cul-de-sacs and some houses. It's a very small and quiet neighborhood because, like I mentioned, the people who live there are retired teachers, so it can be very quiet and peaceful. And please let us know if you have any more questions. Thanks for writing and texting and leaving your comments and subscribing. So we'll talk to you soon and see you. Bye bye.